Okay, hey folks, Mark Locklear here with a quick screencast on Chapter 14 and how to work with dates and times. So for the most part, I think this chapter is well done. You can sort of read through, and I think it's pretty straightforward. So if you have any specific email or specific questions, do email me about those. But just sort of a couple of words in general about dates, times, and calendaring and software development. So if you go on to do great things or not so great things in software development, dates will be near and dear to your heart. A big part of software development is manipulation and processing of dates and times. Even if you're working with an application that's maybe not, dates and times aren't necessarily a specific part of what the application does, it's a good chance you'll have to you'll have to address issues there. Some of the just to hit a few of the common issues you see, changing the format of dates and strings. Often when you get software requirements, the requirements will ask for a specific format of getting the input, getting the date or time from a user. So it may be, month, day, year, it may be year, month, day, and then, storing dates in the back end and then displaying them on the front end. The format may be different coming in, and then when you're actually displaying it somewhere else on the front end, displaying the data in a certain format. When you're outputting it, it may be different. So there's constant manipulation, and then also processing, and that's what we'll look at in today's screencast. I'll get you started on Project 14.1, the reservation calculator. But in the case of this application, you've got two dates, and then you're going to be getting the number of days in between those dates. So those are all the kind of things that you deal with when you talk about dates and times. I mean, the other sort of, I think it's an interesting thing, calendaring throughout human history. It's only been in the last few hundred years that we've actually grasped like what a year is. Generally, the sort of common standard we use now is just 365 days in a year. That's actually not true, right? That we have a leap year every 4 years to account for the variance. It's actually 306. It's roughly 365.25 days per year. So that's why we have a leap year every 4 years to account for that sort of 0.25 difference. But if we think about 500 or 1,000 years ago, sort of previous to modern astrology and science, you couldn't, calendars don't fall on a nice round number like 365. So you can sort of see the inherent problems folks had sort of trying to keep track of days and seasons and things like that. And of course, science evolved such that we could track moon, stars, and we have a better grasp of that. But of course, software development takes care of all those things for us. In the case of Java, there's actually a number of classes that are out there that will allow us to do calendaring. In this case, we will be using the Chrono date class. That's just one of the date classes that Java has to allow you to deal with dates and times. There are a number of those out there, but whatever language you use, PHP, Ruby, Python, all software languages have built-in classes that are going to allow you to handle calendaring. So with that being said, let me share my screen. And so what I think we'll do for today's lesson is, again, I'll get you started on the reservation calendar. This is Project 14.1 that I'm asking you to do. And I'll just sort of get you started on just how you want, what the class should look like. And maybe we'll just enter an arrival and a departure date and get the number of days in between that. But note they've got specifics, so do pay attention to these methods. They ask you to create these specific methods, and these are all, there's getters and setters there, but then there's also getting the number of days in between the dates. There's also formatting the dates. Pay attention to the format that I'm asking you for here when you output it here. So notice the arrival date. Notice the specific format that I'm asking for. So do be specific and give me exactly what I'm asking you for there, because that's what I'll be grading you on. Okay. All right, let me put this back. Okay, so to get started, let's I'm going to create a new NetBeans project, and I'm going to call this I'll just call it Res System. So I've got a basic application here, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a Java class, and this is going to be my reservation class. Okay, so notice I've got that set up here. Okay, and I've got some code off screen. I'm not coding all this up from just from inside my head, but just know that I won't make you sit through all of the typing that I'm doing. I will be copying and pasting some of these things in. Okay, so again, looking at the requirements we've got for this, first thing we know we're going to need is an arrival and a departure date. Okay, and then notice they also ask you to go ahead and set a constant of price per night. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all those things inside my reservation. Inside my reservation class. So a couple of things to note here. Notice the arrival date and departure date are going to be private instance variables. The idea there is only the reservation class should have access to those. And then notice our price per night is going to be a public instant variable also, that it's a constant. Notice we're using the final keyword there, so that's going to be a constant of 115 per night. Again, the advantage to doing this is, again, you can imagine a scenario where you've got a reservation system for a hotel or an airline or something like that, and that you've got a single point. If you need to change, if the price per night changes, you've got a single variable you'll change, and that will propagate throughout the app anywhere you've used this price per night variable. Okay. So notice right offhand I'm getting an error here on local date. So I'm going to do on Mac, I'm doing Control Enter, and that allows me to import the local date package up here. So that takes care of those errors. Okay. Now let's look at, so let's actually put these outside. Let's put these outside of the reservation class. Oh, no, actually we do need them, I think, inside. Okay. And then we'll create a constructor. We'll call it just reservation. Again, the same name as the class. Okay. And so just one of the things you can do is, I mean, again, this is sort of up to you how you want to do it and just how your brain works. Oftentimes I focus on the class first and focus on the various methods. And in fact, often what I do is, and again, I'm just like, I'm off screen looking inside. In fact, I'll drag this down just so you can see it. Like I'm off screen here. One way to do this is to just grab all of these, copy them, because again, the requirements are asking you for all of these things, and then just paste them inside here, and then go ahead and code each one up, or even comment them out. I mean, another way to do it just from a code organization standpoint is go ahead and comment those out, and that way you've got them in there, and then as you code each one up, then you can uncomment it. That's just a good way to, again, rather than trying to go back and forth between requirements and your code. Again, you need methods for all these things, so you can go ahead and just copy and paste those in. Okay. So what we'll do here now is, so we've already got our arrival and departure date, instance variables. I think what we'll do is, let's go ahead and create we'll create another constructor here, and this will be public reservation. And what we'll actually do here is put our arrival, well, let's just use the one that we've got rather than having a default constructor. I think it should still work. And let's actually put, so this constructor is going to take an arrival and a departure date, and then we're just going to set those using the this keyword. Okay, so and over when we create a reservation here, what we'll do is we'll pass an arrival and a departure date in as arguments. Okay, and then I think what we'll do is just get number of nights. Let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's go ahead and code up our the main part of this. So I'm not going to do any input. We're just going to hard code some variables here. So we're going to use local date, and we'll call it arrival date. And local date dot of, and in this case we'll do 2021. Let's do 03 and 04. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get rid of our error here. We need to import well, see what kind of error we're getting here. We need local date. Okay, there we go. Okay, just missing my semicolon at the end. And then we'll do another, in fact, let's just do this. Let's just copy this. And we'll call this departure date. And then let's say we'll depart, we're arriving, let's just do it. Let's just do a month. So we're arriving in March 4th, leaving April 4th, okay? And now what I like to do lots of times is, you know, again, this is not going to do anything yet, but let's just go ahead and hit the run. Let's just go ahead and hit the compile button and make sure it compiles and runs. Obviously, there's no output here, but it's just a good sanity check, even though we don't see errors either. There are times when sometimes you'll, you know, there's no errors being thrown here, but you'll go to compile it and you'll have issues. So, and then let's create a new reservation. So again, based on our constructor here, we're going to create a new reservation. We're going to pass in the arrival and the departure date. So we can go ahead and do that now that we've actually got an arrival and a departure date. So I'm going to do reservation. We'll just do R equals new, and then reservation, and then we're going to pass in arrival date and departure date, and make sure that looks good. That looks okay. I'm going to run that. Okay, good. I'm liking that. Okay, so looks like we have a valid reservation now. Let's actually do something with it. Let's think what we'll do is maybe get the number of nights. And in fact, I think that's one of our methods, get number of nights here. So what I'll do is I'll uncomment that. And we're going to do get number of nights, open and close parens. And then we'll do int nights equals, and then we're going to cast this. And now we're going to use our Chrono Unit dot days is what we want. Now days has a between, and a lot of these, we'll look at the documentation here in a second, but a lot of these methods have a between method you can call on them. So in this case, we'll do between, and then actually notice that it was smart enough to already know that, hey, we're going to do our arrival and departure dates. All right, and then we'll do a return statement at the end. We're going to return nights. All right, so here's this method, get number of nights. Okay, we're creating a variable called nights. We're using our Chrono Unit class. I guess that was part of the local date, or no, here's Chrono Unit here. Using our Chrono Unit class to call days dot between, and then we're passing in the arrival and departure date. Okay. Now, how do we actually call this? Well, we're actually, yeah, we're calling it here, right? We're already calling it. So now we just need to output some sys-o. It's out. Always forget. There it is. I was going to say, in case you don't know that, I think the shortcut works on all NetBeans. You can do S out, and then I'm hitting the tab button, and notice it automatically gives me a print line statement. And then we're just going to output R here. Okay. Now I would expect to see 30. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure how many days are between April and March, if there's 30 or 31 days. But so we're actually getting the object here. So that's not okay. So that's just the reservation. We need to actually call the method. We need to call get number of nights, right? So we'll call R dot, and then notice we've got to get number of nights here. So then if I run this, so there's 31 days, okay? So hopefully you can sort of get a sense of what, once you get, I mean, at this point in the class, just getting the input from the user for you all should be pretty straightforward. So you're getting the year, month, and day. And then once you've got that, then you can manipulate all kinds of ways. Let's look at the Chrono Unit documentation, which is kind of odd. You can't, and you'll see. Let's do Chrono Unit class in Java. So here's all the cool things. You can get centuries, days, decades, errors, hours, minutes. So there's all kinds of mention. Now, unfortunately, all of these don't seem to work out of the box, and I've ran into this before. I can't remember what the issue was. So you'd need to do more research to get them to work. Really, I think days for our purposes for this specific application, days are going to be all you need. But I think minutes will work here. So we can do. Let's see if we can do minutes. So here's minutes, and if we run that, so yeah, see, notice that we get an exception there. So I'm not sure. Let me try dot minutes dot between arrival and departure date. Yeah, see, that's not. How about hours? Hours dot between. Yeah, no, those seem to be wanting to work for me. Anyway, we know that days work, so you can try those, and we'd have to see in this case unsupported. So it might be a type issue. Hours might not be an int, which is what we're trying to do. Wonder if nanos works. Let's try one more, see if we can get it to work. Dot nanos dot between departure. Yeah, no, that doesn't want to work for us either. Okay, well, we know days works. Yeah, no days works, 31 days. Okay, so that gives you sort of an idea of what coding up this reservation system is going to look like. Now, like I say, you've sort of got that one in case, this one in place. Get price per night formatted. Get price per night should be pretty straightforward. Just take the number of days, multiply that time the price per night variable. That'll give you that. Whatever, the formatting. Again, you can look at the example inside the project document to find what the formatting should look like. Total price formatted. You want to do your getters and setters too. So that's generally what that application looks like. Okay, I think I will stop there. Stop sharing. Okay, so that is going to be your reservation calculator. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Good luck.